Hey everyone, and welcome. All right, today we are diving deep, literally. We're going to explore a world of absolute darkness and frankly, unimaginable pressure. We're looking at the incredible life that doesn't just manage to survive down there, but actually thrives in one of the most hostile environments on our planet. Let's get into it. So here's our game plan. First, we'll try to wrap our heads around the sheer, crushing force of deep-sea pressure. Then, we're going to look at the amazing biological toolkit that makes life possible down there. After that, we'll explore the tragic paradox of why these same creatures can't survive at the surface. And finally, we'll see how scientists even begin to study this incredibly hidden world.
I mean, this is really the central question, isn't it? We build specialized submarines out of reinforced steel just to visit these depths, and even they can fail catastrophically. And yet, life is everywhere down there. So how do they do it? What's the secret? Well, it all comes down to a kind of biology that's just fundamentally different from anything we know up here.
Okay, first things first, we've got to understand the force we're actually dealing with. This isn't just about being in water. It's about the weight of the entire ocean, miles of it, pressing down from every single direction. It's an invisible force that literally dictates every single rule of life in the deep.
So to put a number on it, in the deepest parts of the ocean, places like the Hadal zone, the pressure can be over 1,100 atmospheres. That is more than 1,000 times the pressure that you are feeling on your body right now, just sitting there. Now, a number like that is so huge, it's kind of hard to even picture. So let's try an analogy. Imagine taking 50 full-size jumbo jets and stacking all of their weight onto an area the size of a single postage stamp. That's the kind of intense, crushing force we're talking about. And that is the baseline physical challenge for any organism that wants to live there.
And here's the most important takeaway from that. You just can't fight that kind of pressure with strength. You can't build a body that's strong enough to resist it. You have to yield to it. So life in the abyss isn't about fighting the pressure. It's about being in perfect balance with it. And to do that, you need a complete biological redesign.
So how in the world did life solve this problem? Let's take a look at the incredible biological toolkit that evolution came up with to deal with living under, quite literally, a world of weight.
Okay, so here are the core principles. First, many of these creatures have gelatinous, squishy bodies. There are no rigid bones to snap under the strain. Their tissues are made almost entirely of water, and water itself is basically incompressible. Instead of bone, they might have flexible cartilage that's designed to bend, not break. And this is a huge one. They have no air pockets, no lungs, no swim bladders like you see in shallow water fish. Any empty space would be instantly flattened.
But the real secret weapon? It's something you can't even see. It's happening at the molecular level. Inside their cells, they have these tiny molecules called Piezolytes. You can think of them like molecular armor. Extreme pressure wants to twist and deform the essential proteins that make life work. These little molecules, like one called TMAO, physically surround those proteins, protecting their shape and allowing all the basic machinery of life to just keep on running. It's incredible.
So these creatures are perfectly, beautifully adapted for the crushing pressures of the deep. But here's the wild and tragic twist. The very adaptations that allowed them to live down there make it completely impossible for them to survive up here with us. Their greatest strength is also their fatal flaw.
I mean, just think about that for a second. Their entire biology, from their squishy bodies to the molecules in their cells, is completely dependent on that intense external pressure holding them together. So what happens when you take that pressure away? The whole system just falls apart. They are creatures of the deep and only the deep.
And you've probably seen the perfect, if kind of sad example of this, the blobfish. It's become a famous internet meme, but that image we all know is based on a profound misunderstanding. It's not what the animal looks like, it's what happens to it after suffering the trauma of being brought to the surface.
And this contrast is so important to understand. In its natural home, thousands of feet down, the blobfish looks like a totally normal fish. A little bit grumpy maybe, but a fish. The immense pressure of the water outside gives its gelatinous body structure and form. But when it's dragged up to the surface, that external support completely vanishes. Its body catastrophically decompresses and expands into that shapeless, gelatinous blob we recognize. We're not seeing the animal. We're seeing the result of a fatal injury. So let's break down exactly what's happening on a biological level during that fatal journey up. First, the external pressure that's been holding the body together is suddenly gone. Second, any gases dissolved in its tissues begin to rapidly expand and come out of solution. You can think of it like violently shaking a can of soda and then popping the top. And third, without that external pressure, its entire gelatinous structure just collapses. It loses all shape, leading to irreversible damage and ultimately death.
So you can see the problem this creates for scientists, right? If bringing these animals to the surface is basically a death sentence, how on earth can we learn anything about them? Well, this final section is all about the clever ways scientists are getting around that.
This is the ultimate challenge for any deep-sea biologist. You know the old saying, if the mountain won't come to Muhammad, well, in this case, you can't bring the specimen to the lab, so you absolutely have to bring the lab to the specimen.
And they've come up with some incredible solutions. To deal with the pressure and total darkness, they use these amazing remotely operated vehicles, or ROVs, packed with cameras and tools. To get around the problem of fatal decompression, most of the research is done in situ, which just means watching and recording the animals right there in their natural habitat. And for those very rare cases where they need a physical sample, scientists are developing these experimental, high-tech containers that can actually capture a creature and maintain deep-sea pressure all the way back to the lab on the surface.
And really, what this all comes down to is a sense of respect, you know? We have to realize that we are just temporary visitors in what is essentially an alien world right here on our own planet. The only way we can ever hope to understand it is to meet it on its own terms and to respect the very specific, very extreme conditions that make all of that life possible. And that's the thought I want to leave you with. Everything we've talked about today is what we've managed to learn so far. But every new dive, every new mission, reveals species that have solved this problem of pressure in ways we never could have imagined. It just makes you wonder, what other incredible wonders are still out there waiting for us in the crushing dark?